Hello, this is Katie from Happy Hearted Watercolors. This is a video that talks about the use of negative space. We're going to explore the use of a credit card in your painting. We're going to also explore the use of scoring your paper to create an effect that you will kind of enjoy. This is what I'm using for scoring. It's a skewer. We're going to use a credit card, and we're going to show a winter's glow on the snow. So the first thing that happened in this painting is I transferred the image onto this watercolor paper, and I've already done one careful wetting down of just the negative space between the trees. Negative space is the space where the focal point or the main subject is not. So here we are, just quickly running over again these negative spaces. We're going to assume or pretend like the sun is coming in from over this way. And that will be, when we turn this right side up, it will be off from the left. The sun will be coming this way. So the shadows will be going as indicated on the paper. So I've already gotten all my paints ready. For this painting, I'm using an oval round brush from Princeton. It's called a 3/4 inch. And I like it because it's wide and skinny. I'm also going to be using a number 6 inch Simply Simmons synthetic brush, which I like because it gives a nice firm spring when you're painting. And then, like I said, we're going to be using a credit card. And we're going to be using the skewer. So first off, we're going to start with the glow. And the glow, like I said, is going to be coming off over from the top left, which from here, it's the bottom right, because I've got the painting upside down, so that's easier to for my hand to work. And in the lid of my little Yarka palette, I've created a puddle of cadmium yellow, which is not in the Yarka palette, and a naphthol red, which is also not in the palette. But in order to get a nice color, I'm using, for our sky, I'm using those colors in my painting. I've also prepared the blue color for the sky. I've also prepared the green for the trees that are in the background. So this, along here, is going to be a careful place where we'll need to make sure that we have the back part of this negative space matching the back part of this negative space. And same as in between each one of these trees, we want to make sure that the painting looks like it all matches together. And dropping in to the horizon, and I want to just drop it in because we're going to be and again we want to make sure that we're making each side of the tree look like they match together, and the tree was actually So I want to bring this water down here to the horizon line because I want this glow to be up near the sky. I'm working quickly here so that I can, while the paint is still wet, score the paper. And what's going to happen is that we're kind of scratching the paper. And where we've scratched the paper, the paint will flow into those scratches. And in these scratches, we're trying to put the background trees. And I'm noticing that my green is coming up a little bit too far, so I'm just using a paper towel to siphon up some of this extra paint. I don't want to wipe it because that'll disturb the texture of the paper, and also it will create a different look there. Now this looks pretty brown right here, and it's not looking, in person, it's not looking as brown here, so I'm going to go in and grab more brown. It's playtime in my house where the dogs are playing. Keeping this paper wet is going to be my main goal here, because I want this to be nice and glowy right here. Again, I'm going to pull some of the extra off with my paper towel. And now I need to quickly get my blue sky in. I'd already prepared that blue paint. That's why it's important to get your paints all ready before you even start the process, because if you don't, it ends up drying too fast on you. And we're using the rock and roll technique here to have the colors come down into each other, so they can play and meld and work together. Now it's time to create the background trees that are also deciduous trees here. Probably more off to the right, because over here is kind of a focal point. So I want to scratch this paper, and depending on how wet it is and where you are in where it is in the process of drying, you're going to want to either push more definitely or push more gently, and also depending on the point of your scratching implement. And here I'm noticing that the paint is not flowing into itself, into the scratches, so I'm going to add more paint in so that it will work. And again, you've got to make sure to add paint so one side and the other side are the same. I've already got some blooms being created here. So it's not always a bad thing, but in this case, I think I want this to be not so light. Maybe I can even bring some trees up as if they were tall trees in the background. These trees that are white, that are focal point and subject matter are showing, we're going to round them with a credit card or some stiff card as we get going. Okay, so here we go with this. Then the next step, since this is wet, we really can't do a whole lot, but I would like to put in a golden glow right through here, and I'm going to wet up to but not touching the background. And this is showing quite a bit of green, so I'm just adding some of the reflection from the sun, the golden glow. This is called Winter's Glow. I'm going to rock and roll a little bit. In just a few minutes, I'll be switching paintings. I've had to do this in several steps, and in order to keep this video from being too long, I'm got another one ready in the wings. Okay, so here we are with part one. Now here we go with part two. This painting's a little bigger, but much the same. What I've gone through and done is I've gone through and created a birch bark using a credit card or some sort of cardboard kind of material. And of course, I didn't bring it into the studio, so I'm madly searching for something that might work as a... Maybe this will work, maybe not. Anything plastic works well. So here's what I'm going to use. I'm going to use this small technique page that I use during my classes to have people practice a skill that they're trying to work on. And this is the edge that I'm going to put into the paint, getting it a little bit wet. And we're going to just take and right along the edge of the painting, scrape it along. You don't want to do it evenly. Notice how there's a lot of brown there, but not much up here. So you want to keep it very uneven. Let's just take this. So that's how I did that. Then the next thing I wanted to show you is we've got the golden snow glowing off the sunlight behind a divot in the, or a little rise in the snow. So I'm going to take just a little bit of paint. Go behind the tree and make sure that I come back out exactly on the other side. And then take my brush, rinse it off really good, and smooth that line out. And then we have a look like there's a little hill going on over there. Notice with this part I've got a little bit of brown right at the crest. So unevenly I'll put some brown there. Okay, so the other thing that I did was off camera was I put in some dark lines for branches, and this is probably a pretty imaginative tree in that the little sleeves, I think they look like sleeves, the little sleeves are so dark. And what I'm trying to do is create the an arrow to our focal point, which to me is right up here. So we're having almost everything kind of move along towards this focal point of the snow, of the sun. And to make these trees, I've made a little line, and then where the branch attaches to the tree, and then just very lightly, maybe even skipping a little bit, done a little bit of work there on that branch. And what I'm trying to do also is create unity with the trees, but not so uniform that they look like soldiers, and also creating an interest with things being slightly off from the one next to it. In other words, they're all just a tiny bit different, but enough the same that we've got some unity. I want to try to make the branches different distances apart. It's so easy to make them so similar. This one's going to go up a little bit higher than that one. Change the angle just a teensy bit. And again, you're going to do better, and I need to correct myself right now, to hold your brush from the end of it as opposed to down close on by the ferrule. This is the ferrule. So rather than grabbing onto the ferrule and holding on to it as if it were running away, then. And the next step is to finish off with grasses. Again, done better if holding your brush more lightly and from the end of the brush. And then my shadows that again point to our focal point. To show the unevenness of the snow, we are kind of wobbly with this shadow, just because there's different heights in the snow. Maybe an animal went back up in there. So there we have it.